Hi, welcome. I am, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Claudia Braun, and I work with women who struggle with stress, emotional eating, and yo-yo dieting. I wanted to talk tonight, it's tonight here, I wanted to talk about this kind of pain-shame cycle that I'm noticing. I just started working with a woman, and we were talking about, one of the things she noticed, and I see this with people that I talk to and work with, is that, one of the things about food that makes it so unique is that even though it's so readily available, it's one of the things that we least like to talk about. A lot of times people will talk about dieting, but specifically what people are doing with food is pretty hidden. We don't like to tell other people what we're doing. There's a lot of shame, there's a lot of pain in that cycle. And in that shame and pain, it creates a lot of isolation because we feel that part of ourselves we can't share with other people because it's too embarrassing, it's too shameful. And what I've noticed for those of us, and I put myself in that category because I was that way for many years, for those of us who have eating issues, particularly stress and emotional eating issues, we tend to be the people who help other people. We tend to be the people who other people tell things to. We're taking on a lot. We're absorbing a lot of people's feelings and experiences, and we tend to be the people who are listening to things, and while we're listening, we tend to get bigger, and we tend to not be the people speaking up for ourselves, and we usually kind of bury those feelings under food. And then the more we don't talk about it, the more isolated we get, and the more it creates this pain and shame cycle because of what we're doing with it, and we're isolated because we're not talking to anyone about it. And then the bigger we get, the less able we are to move, and then the less likely we are to want to make plans with other people. So it really creates this intense spiral. And so I really want to acknowledge that you're not alone. I mean, you're not alone with these feelings, and you're not alone with the experience. And truly you're not alone, even though it feels like you are. So there are other people who really get what you're going through. And, I want to be that voice of like, you don't have to suffer alone with this because it can be different. And just because this is what you've always done, it doesn't mean it's what you always have to do. And I think that is, that's the thing about, sugar is the thing about, this pattern that gets created is that it's what you know. It's how you've coped with emotions. It's how you've coped with difficult situations. Instead of learning how to respond, the reactive way has been to kind of stuff it and then use food to keep that pattern going. But that's a learned response. And you weren't born that way. At some point you picked it up that it was safer, easier to just stuff it than to talk about it, than to deal with it. And what I know from myself, for my clients, is that this can change. So I want to just acknowledge you, acknowledge the challenge of seeing it, and acknowledge, and also, allowing you to extend compassion to yourself for being somebody who has struggled and, kind of suffered with this. But you don't have to continue to. It can be different. You deserve to have it be different. And, one of the ways that you can begin to start to get a different perspective is to start writing about what is going on, because things can feel so overwhelming that it just feels hopeless, and you can feel buried underneath it. And beginning to write can be a way of just getting it out. There's a woman, Julia Cameron, of course I used to take and teach, and she would talk about sort of this brain drain, and it's a really great exercise. So just get it out, not edit it, just get it out. as a way of acknowledging what's going on. And it doesn't have to make sense, because many times emotions do not make sense. It's what we're feeling, and it's so primal. But when you don't acknowledge it, it just feels worse, and it just gets bigger. And so give yourself space, give yourself time, give yourself permission to feel what you're feeling. And I promise you, in that action, in that giving yourself the space, things will change. So I really want to really just remind you, you're not alone, and you don't have to suffer with this. So, if not me, turn to somebody and begin to start sharing, because food really is that thing that can feel, it's so nurturing, it can feel so nurturing, and it's so close to us, right? I mean, it's the relationship, it's a relationship. Food is a relationship. So, when relationships outside of food feel like they're not going well, we can turn to food because it feels so there. It gets it, it's not judging us, but it's not making our life better either. So it's not really a good friend. It's been a friend because it was there, but when it's making your life painful and you feel shame about it, it's not worth it. So you deserve to have a different experience. And I'd love for you to reach out and get help. And like I said, if not me, then somebody else. But if you would like to have a conversation, I'm extending myself to you to step out of the pattern. You're here to do something, and when food is in your way, you're not going to allow yourself shine as big as you need to shine, or be the voice that you need to be. So you're here to do something, and if food is in your way, it's going to stop you from doing it to the fullest extent, as being as visible as you want to be. Well, I want you to be that light that you are, and you deserve to be. So that's all for now, and I will look forward to seeing you in the group and hearing what you have to say. Okay, until the next video. Bye.